configuring the Bluetooth, deciding who controls the music, avoiding potholes, remembering where you parked. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners Insurance, getting the right coverage for your vehicle doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can get back to more important things, like remembering if you're on the 3rd or 4th level of the parking garage. That's simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
This podcast is about Teamsters for a Democratic Union, which is a political organization that operates outside of the Teamsters Union. The opinions expressed on this podcast do not necessarily reflect the official views of any person or organization.
United, tell them TDU sucks, go home, there's no place for
Welcome to the TDU show. My name is Phil E. Baralaza. This is episode 3, and what I'd like to talk about is International Vice President from the Eastern Region, Sean O'Brien, has declared extremely early that he is going to run for the international general president position, run against Hoffa, basically. The really weird part is that he's going to do it on the Teamsters United slate, with Fred Zuckerman being the number 2 running for general secretary treasurer. And it's weird for a number of reasons, but first of all is that Teamsters United was born out of Teamsters for a Democratic Union. Teamsters for a Democratic Union set up Teamsters United, and personally I think they're going to rebrand the entire Teamsters for a Democratic Union as Teamsters United, because the name Teamsters for a Democratic Union has gotten so toxic. But Sean O'Brien's running on a Teamsters United ticket is really odd, because he's been a strong vocal opponent of Teamsters for a Democratic Union his entire career. So it seems like a big move for him. Fred Zuckerman, maybe not so much, because he's been with them for a while now. But it's a far cry from Tim Sylvester, who's really TDU to the bone, to go with Sean O'Brien. So what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about 3 things. One is I want to go down line by line with commentary on the statement by Sean O'Brien and Fred Zuckerman announcing their candidacy for 2021, which is a long time away. Just to give you a little perspective, how far away 2021 is the next presidential election in the United States is a full year sooner than that. And there's not a lot of campaigning going on right now being the beginning of June in 2018. So it's a long way off, but what I want to talk about is the statement. I'll break it down and comment when I feel necessary. And then TDU put out a statement as well with the release of the Teamsters United statement, which is a little confusing. I mean, they're the same thing and they're coordinated together. So I'm going to break down the TDU statement as well. And then after that, I want to play a speech that Sean O'Brien gave some years ago during an election for Local 251, where he spoke out against TDU in such a way that got him in trouble with the government overseers of the Teamsters Union. And he, in fact, served a small suspension for that. And I'll say up front right now that I think it's total bullshit he got suspended in the first place. And also, he's dead on every point he makes in that speech. But we'll get to that last. And then after that, we'll wrap it all up. So that's the layout for episode 3. And let's start with that statement. So statements go, unfortunately, it's long. It's long and it's very statement-y in that it's boring. I would have preferred something a lot shorter. I would have written something a lot shorter, to be honest. That being said, we'll go through the whole thing. It's a page and a half, which statement-wise is probably they could have done it in 2 or 3 paragraphs. I would have probably shot for 3, but that's me. So the statement has a title like a headline because it's on the Teamsters United website. And it says, O'Brien and Zuckerman announce campaign to take back Teamsters. I'm not exactly sure who they're taking it back from, but they're going to take it back. So O'Brien and Zuckerman announce campaign to take back Teamsters. You know, come to think of it, you could go a lot of different ways with take back. Take back to the failed Ron Carey years. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to read the statement now instead of riffing on the title. Teamsters Sean O'Brien and Fred Zuckerman announced this afternoon that they had joined together to run for the 2 top leadership positions of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. O'Brien will top the ticket running as general president, and Zuckerman will run as general secretary-treasurer. Now, to comment on this first paragraph, that it is a little interesting that, that Zuckerman chose to bend the knee to O'Brien, but, politics, strange things happen because, it was kind of tough for Tim Sylvester to swallow running behind Fred Zuckerman. So I guess Sylvester's out, apparently, because there's no mention of him anywhere. In fact, it looks like he never... Well, Tim Sylvester was a longtime TDU supporter, leader of a local in New York, large UPS local, and has since vanished. And apparently TDU is not going to pick him back up because they're running these other guys. So I'm going to continue on with the statement here, and we'll get to the better parts. So this part is a quote from O'Brien. We can no longer wait as Hoffa's inaction and inability destroys the Teamsters, O'Brien said. Fred and I are dedicated to bringing together Teamster officers and members to stand up to the employers and save our union. That's why I'm joining the Teamsters United Coalition, and I'm proud to be leading the ticket in 2021, which is like, and I don't know, I'm in my late 40s, 2021 sounds like a sci-fi movie, like it's a really long time away. Anyway, it is a long time. So now to kind of break this paragraph down, and this is going to take a long time because it's a long statement, but I've been a Teamster member, 26 years or something. And then coming from a Teamster family, I've been, essentially a Teamster my entire 48 years because as far as I can remember, the Teamsters have been a part of my life. And I don't know that the union's in a position to need saving. I don't think we're going anywhere. And I think what's weird is O'Brien knows that too. But, it's a statement, it's political. But just for the record, put me down for the Teamsters don't need saving. We're not drowning. We're not dying. We're not running out of money. And we're not running out of juice. So I think we're okay. But I'm going to move on with the statement. And this next part is Fred Zuckerman, a quote from Fred Zuckerman. Sean is the right person for the job. He has the energy and the talent and guts to stand up for what is right, Zuckerman said. He has shown through his leadership in New England that he knows how to unite Teamsters in action to stand up to employers. Working together, we can put the Teamsters on the right track across North America. And what are you going to say about Fred? So apparently Sean O'Brien has won Fred over with his work in New England. And that'd be great. I mean, honestly, Sean's won me over before too. So I guess Fred's hoping together they'll put Teamsters on the right track because we're not on the right track now, according to them. So the statement continues with O'Brien leads Teamsters Local 25 in Boston and Zuckerman leads Teamsters Local 89 in Louisville, Kentucky. O'Brien and Zuckerman pledged to build on the momentum that Teamsters United created in 2016. During that election cycle, Teamsters United nearly unseated Hoffa. Hoffa lost the U.S. vote and squeaked out a 6,024 vote win among the 1.2 million Teamsters. More than 70% of the 240,000 Teamsters at UPS voted against Hoffa. Now, here I got to call bullshit because The first time that 70% of anybody votes would be a surprise. I think any reasonable person would assume that not 70% of UPS members voted, let alone 70% of them voted against Hoffa. Then the other 5% voted for Hoffa, or I don't know. So it's total bullshit. That number's fake. I don't want to call it a lie yet because maybe they just aren't good at the math stuff, but to say more than 70% of the 240,000 Teamsters at UPS voted against Hoffa is just not true. In fact, I'm going to do some quick math here. Let's figure out what is 70% of 240,000 Teamsters. So I'm back. I did a little quick math. I got to be honest, I didn't do it in my head, but that's 168,000 members would be 70%. I guess I could have just cut it in half and then added some more. Anyway, so yeah, 160, what did I say? 168,000. So that's a lot of people. I think that's more than all the people that voted in the election. I'm not exactly sure. It's probably close. So clearly that number's not right. Maybe they can get out another number that would be better, but maybe we'll just give them a little slack on that for now. But I'm going to continue on with the statement. So UPS is the biggest contract in the union and the largest private sector contract in the United States. O'Brien, who ran on the Hoffa slate in 2016 and was initially appointed Hoffa's UPS division director. But O'Brien was fired as division director in September 2017 after he pushed to build a united UPS negotiating team that included Fred Zuckerman and other Teamsters United leaders. So September 2017, so September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So he was fired by Hoffa and now he's running against him. So it wouldn't be the first time that happened anywhere. Can't say that I blame him or not blame him, you know. But that was back in September of 2017, and we're in June of 18 now. So the next part is a quote from O'Brien. It says, "I learned the hard way that Hoffa's commitment to unity was simply words. As UPS director, I pushed hard to include Fred and other Teamsters United leaders in contract negotiations. Hoffa refused. When I tried to hold him to his word about unifying the union, I was fired. That's Hoffa's way of dealing with differing opinions. You can't build a strong union that way." So that's a quote by O'Brien in the statement. And the part that I find curious is that he pushed hard to include Fred and other Teamster United leaders. And I don't know who else they're talking about unless we're talking about Tim Sylvester, because I know he was the other big UPS dude in Teamsters United. So I guess that Sean O'Brien was pushing hard to get Tim Sylvester in negotiations as well, which would surprise me, to be honest. That doesn't sound right to me, but they don't name these other Teamsters United leaders, and Tim Sylvester was the number 2 guy on the ticket last time, and actually he had been the number 1 guy for Teamsters United for a long time. So I'm just going to assume it's him until they tell me something different. So, and clearly O'Brien and Hoffa had differing opinions on this, on whether to bring Zuckerman and Sylvester and the other dudes into the negotiations or not. So the next paragraph says, outside of choreographed meetings like Unity, Hoffa rarely shows up on strike lines, Teamster work sites, or local union halls. When he does, it is staged, and he is always accompanied by a personal photographer. Annually, Hoffa pours millions of dollars into social media and publications that prop up his cult of personality, proving Hoffa is more concerned about his personal image and legacy than he is about strengthening Teamster contracts and addressing member needs. Okay, you know, he's been in his share of publications too, so I've come to find out that social media, public outreach, media exposure in general is good for the membership because it helps build Teamster power, helps us resolve situations sometimes. So I'm not going to knock it. I'm not going to not criticizing it either. So that is what it is. I hope he's been saying this all along, because